Hi, everybody. My name is Liz Rippey. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Uh, I am a social worker with New England Hospice, and today we're presenting Coping Through the Holidays. We are now in December, so we're really in the swing of things. So we're going to be talking about how to come up with tips and strategies on how to kind of navigate through the holiday season. Now, a lot of us or all of us have been experiencing the challenges of COVID-19. So we are going to talk about that on the back end of the slides. So we are going to kind of go through coping through the holidays from a recently passed loved one, a past loved one, could be someone that we've lost a couple of years ago, could be someone that we've just lost this year. And then kind of the challenges of having someone placed in a nursing home setting or a hospital setting and not being with our loved ones this year is also another loss that I think that we really do need to address this holiday season because it looks so different. So we'll go through a lot of that. This is a presentation for not only our families that have a loved one on our service or have had one on our service, so both past and present, but this is for everyone in the community as well. So please don't hesitate to call us. Our number here is at the bottom of the screen. It's 781-749-2900. Should you have any questions about New England Hospice in general, you can always give us a call, and you can visit our website at newenglandhospice.com. So I think we're going to just jump right into it. And this is really coping through the holidays. So it's for anyone celebrating any of the holidays or none of the holidays. It's really just trying to get through this whole winter. So, all right. So grief during the holiday season. How do you cope? I'm going to read this and then we'll just kind of talk about it a little bit. But as unpredictable as grief is, one can expect that the holidays and other family celebrations, such as birthdays and anniversaries, will cause a huge wave of emotion. These events, once anticipated with joyous pleasure, are now often painful reminders that our loved one is not here to celebrate with you. So again, this applies to recent losses and past losses. So we don't have to just focus on someone we lost this year. It can be someone that we've lost again a year, 2, 3, 4 years ago. What we're really trying to talk about is how we're getting through our new normal after we've lost someone. And that can take it can take a long time, it can take a short time. The most important thing is there is no time limit. And grief isn't something that you ever really truly get over. You just really learn how to live with it, unfortunately. And it's something that we all experience. No one can really escape grief. But the bonus part of that is that we all have someone who has experienced it. So we kind of are all in it together and can help each other get through it. So I think kind of understanding what grief is can really help us start to pinpoint how we develop coping strategies. So grief is a person's emotional response to loss, and that's it. It's how we emotionally deal with something that we've lost. Again, it could be a loved one, it could be a pet, it could be the loss of a job. Really, it's the loss that we're experiencing. So how do we navigate that? How are we acknowledging that? And I think it's very important to, again, reiterate the fact that it's not the same for everyone. Everyone goes through it very differently, and that is okay. Understanding your grief can be very complicated, and you can again be navigating through the year after a loss or some time. And then certain milestones throughout the year will kind of sneak up on you and create these complicated feelings or emotions that you didn't think that you were going to have because you thought you were getting past it. But again, just kind of understanding how grief works can help you navigate through the years, and help you process your grief going forward. Again, understanding your grief. So the first step is acknowledgement. Acknowledging that what you're experiencing is normal. I want to say extremely normal, because I think a lot of us think that we should be over a loss or we should be done grieving, but there really, again, there is no time limit. There is no right way to experience grief. We really do it so differently. And then just letting us have that permission to grieve the way we need to can really help us in the long run. Trying to hold it down. Remember, grief is an emotional response. So that is energy. Emotional responses are energy that we really do need to be able to express. Sometimes when we aren't able to express that energy, that grief comes out and manifests and can be negative behaviors, negative ways. And that's when you see maybe drug and alcohol dependency, severe anger management issues, just issues, things like that. So just being mindful of the fact that while there really is no correct way to grieve, just being mindful of the fact that we need to express ourselves freely and openly in a safe place, and making sure that we're keeping in check the ways that we're grieving and healthy ways to get through and adopt and adapt through that. So people may feel that they're making progress with their grief when they are temporarily feeling temporarily feeling less grief. But then after some time, they may face the grief again. Such changes in grief may occur around a significant date, such as a holiday or birthday. So like the kind of thing that I just said in the other slide, the milestones that we kind of go through and we walk throughout the year can really trigger us. And I think this grief wheel right here on the right side of the slide gives you a visual representation of how we can sort of visualize what grief looks like throughout the process of grieving. So when if you want to just start right here at the loss and kind of follow the wheel around, and we say wheel because the wheel can be, we can kind of go around it and around and around it. Some people do waves, so up ebbs and flows throughout your entire life. But if we look at it like a wheel, we're going to be starting with our loss, and we're kind of going to go through it. Now we can experience shock and protest, disorganization, reorganization. Again, everyone is different, so they might do things in a different pattern. They might go forward, backwards. So it's not just the forward motion, but you can go from protest to shock to protest. Again, everyone is so different. Some people throughout the year, they really do develop ways of coping that help them towards a healthy ability to navigate the new normal without living with their lost loved one. Some people do have a little bit more trouble, so it might take them a little bit more time. They might have to go through this wheel a lot, or they may be feeling great one year and then not so much. I mean, life is so complicated. We can't really it's not black and white. So remember, it's definitely not black and white. So there's just a lot of factors, and your life is always changing, and things are being added and subtracted, or there's like lots of little things that are going on in your life. So that can be causing stress, or, again, the grief wheel can kind of give you a little bit more perspective. Also, I like to think about it as a backpack. There was a great picture that I didn't put in here, but if you can think about a backpack that you are sort of given when you experience a loss, that backpack is weighted so heavily with everything, all these emotions and feelings, and you really can't they're all stuffed in there. It's a mess. You're really just trying to organize everything as you kind of walk along, and you're really taking baby steps because the weight is so heavy. And really it's over time that you start to kind of take the backpack and you kind of organize the contents, and things became a little bit more organized. They become lighter because you're learning how to carry the backpack in a very different position. That's you adopting coping strategies. That's you reorganizing your thoughts. So you're really managing and you're coping in a healthy way. When your backpack feels lighter, you're managing your grief. Again, unfortunately, you always have that backpack for your entire life. It's not something that you can just take off. So if you want to think about it like that too, I think that's a good also visual representation of sometimes of what we can think about of grief. So. So helpful tips and strategies. What can we do during the holiday seasons to help us get through that grief and those difficult times, those challenging times? We can start by reevaluating traditions. This is sort of pre-COVID, because we'll talk about all of these sort of changes too, and I think in the next slide. So, reevaluating traditions. Our loved ones are maybe our loved one who did dinner every year for an event no longer does it. Who's doing it now? What does that mean? The good thing about traditions is they are generally considered sort of part of history, sort of part of like a passing down, a ritual, if you will. So whether or not your loved one's not there to keep this tradition going, you are. So that's something that you have the power within your family structure, your friend structure, your community structure to kind of take a hold of and say, I want to continue this in honor of my loved one who can't be here to continue that. And you can adapt your traditions too. It doesn't have to be the way that your loved one used to do it. You can also just put a spin on your own spin on it. So that's another kind of creative way to reevaluate traditions without your loved one actually being there. Formulating a plan. A lot of times we feel when we experience loss, we feel we feel scattered, we feel disorganized. We're trying to put all the pieces together, and even for the most type A person, making decisions can be really difficult when you're going through the loss or grief. And a lot of people think, why am I doing this? I'm usually like just really quick, I'm on the ball, and I'm just kind of sludging through even minor decisions about, what's for dinner, things like that. So formulating a plan can really help you kind of put everything into place. So if you're used to making lists, maybe make more lists. If you're not used to lists, maybe you start making small lists just to get an idea. And putting that pen to paper can kind of give you another visual representation of what you're capable of doing. Asking for help, especially during the holidays, is crucial. Even when we're not in a pandemic, asking for help is a lot. There's a lot going on, a lot more events. Usually we're moving a lot more. So making sure that we're keeping in check with our family and friends and letting them know how we're doing and what we need help with throughout the holidays is really important. Attending to self-care, another extremely important, because we can't help others unless we're helping ourselves. So we want to make sure that we are being mindful of how we are doing emotionally and physically. Are we feeling, how are we feeling? And again, keeping in check of that. Allowing for expression. So again, kind of talking about allowing for emotional expression. And there's no wrong way to grieve. So, if you need to pull over on the side of the road because you heard a song that reminds you of someone special that you've lost and you just need to cry, that's what you need to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you haven't shed a tear, but you feel like you're processing your emotions, it's all kind of what you need to do. And it's unfair for anyone else to dictate how you should grieve. So again, communication too is a big one. It's okay to communicate to your loved ones how you're grieving. Some people might not understand, so talking about it can help put it into context for those that might not understand why you're not doing the same thing that they're doing, and that's okay. They might not know, and that's just educational. Just putting education out there for our friends and family. Learning to say no. Lots of us are always on the go, and I think it's just sometimes easier for us to say yes, and then we're kind of stuck with all these obligations. But especially after we lose someone, we want to make sure that we're, again, being mindful of our self-care, our physical and emotional health. And if we can say no to a few activities that we once did, that is completely appropriate. Again, focusing on your health, your emotional and physical health are also going to be extremely important. I did want to talk about the red cardinal in this photo. just for a moment, because I think, I don't know if a lot of folks are familiar with the meaning behind the red cardinal, especially with loss and grief. So in hospice, we're kind of familiar with it, but it's also really common to see this bird in winter, and more with like Christmas themes. So you'll see like them on ornaments, or maybe even cards, decorations around your house, things like that. And I thought this was really, really interesting to kind of plug in here, because there's a lot of meaning and historical significance with the red cardinal that I actually didn't even really pick up until I did a quick Google search. So um, actually in Native American, so I'm just going to read this a little bit, but in Native American cultures, they believe that cardinals are the daughters of the sun. And if you see like a lost daughter, so if you see a cardinal flying towards the sun, you will have good luck. So there's a red cardinal meaning and historical significance in a Native American culture. There, so in Latin, the word cardinal comes from the word cardo, the Latin word cardo, which means hinge. So some believe that the cardinal is serving as the hinge on the doorway between earth and our lost spirits. So they are delivering. So when we see a red cardinal, they're really our like loved ones delivering messages back, and or the cardinals delivering messages between our loved ones and ourselves, which I thought was really beautiful. So that's something that we've always been kind of aware of with the meaning in hospice, but you do see the red cardinal in a lot more winter themes. And it's interesting because I learned that, again, quick Google search, that the red cardinal doesn't migrate, at least in this area. I'm going to say the Northeast. I'm going to say North America. Feel free to fact check that. But my information from what I found was the red cardinal doesn't migrate. So that's why you see it a lot more in the winter months, because also the contrast of their red feathers against the snow, especially again in areas that do receive snow, is much more prevalent. So you're really going to see the red cardinal much more than I think you would throughout the years, where the colors might be muted in the background of just general, because there's not the white contrast of the snow. But it is really meaningful for a lot of folks to know that if you do see one, it is, your loved one is sending you messages from the heavens to you. So if you see one, it is supposed to be good luck. It's supposed to mean comfort and peace. So I hope that everyone gets to see one this winter season. Just wanted to add that for everybody. So continuing with our helpful strategies, this is a holiday checklist. You can find these all over the internet. They're very, very easy just to plug in, just a simple Google search. So again, for folks that have lost a loved one, even recently, or earlier this year or last year, or whatever it may be, again, those significant losses can cause even the most type A person, I've already said this, the most type A person to feel scattered, sluggish, kind of just cloudy, and that's completely okay. Your world has changed, and I think acknowledging that is going to be so helpful for anyone to acknowledge the fact that, wow, this is really affecting my life. So what can I do to help adopt and adapt to help get through these situations in my life? So through the holidays, you can find these big long lists. Some might find this really daunting and might not want to go through this whole list, and that's completely fine. That might not be right for you. But for some people that need to figure out what they're doing this holiday season, again, kind of pre-COVID, what you're capable and what you're not capable of doing. So, for example, holiday cards. Some people do them. They do them every year. They've never skipped a year. They add things. They write a long list of what they accomplished throughout the year, things like that. So is this something that you're going to do this year? You want to elect to not do? Maybe you do things differently. and you're like, well, you know what, I don't want to do the holiday card this year. It's 1 year. I can handle something out. That's going to be something that I can take off my plate. Okay, what else can I take off my plate? So I think this is just a really good, again, representation of all the stuff that we normally do, which is a lot for any holiday, for any season. This is a lot for most of us. And we have our jobs, well, we have kids, we've got just life in general. So again, just taking stock in the fact that we already do a lot during the holiday season, and it's okay to say no. It's okay to express your emotions. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to change your traditions. Just being mindful of all of that. And then now we're unfortunately on to COVID-19. So how do I cope with COVID-19 through the holiday season? I think that's a great question. And I think that's something that we're all asking, including myself. We are all in the same boat together because we are all affected by COVID-19. No one is not affected. So we're all going blind into this holiday season. And everything looks so different for all of us. I think one of the things to acknowledge here too is that when we're talking about coping through the holiday season, and I think I maybe mentioned this in the first slide when I did my little introduction, was that we're really talking about people, not physical losses, but the loss of seeing, of not being with someone at home or being able to go to the facility. So you may not have had a loss as a death, but a loss as in not being able to be with your loved one, whether that loved one is, your mom that lives in Oregon, or your mom that lives in a nursing home down the street, not being able to travel, not being able to go to a nursing home, a hospital, an assisted living, a facility setting where there's the most high risk priority patients that are there. So what does that look like? How are we navigating that? What are things that I can do to help me get through the holiday season? And again, I think it's really important that, unfortunately, that we're all in the same boat and we're sort of navigating a little bit blind, although we do have the last months to kind of prep us. So we should be more prepared than, if it just hit us like when we were in March. So there are some things that we can do. So just a few things that I put down here. Knowing the facts can be really, really helpful. And there's a lot out there. Social media is anything you read on social media is, there's so much out there. The key thing about knowing the facts is making sure that you have authentic facts, because there is so much out there and you want to make sure that you're getting correct data. Because we can be so overwhelmed with misinformation, people's opinions, thoughts, judgments, criticisms on everything. So where are you getting your data or your facts is really important to keep in mind. You want to look for websites that are .gov, things like that. CDC is probably going to be one of your best. I've had a lot of good experiences with the CDC website. Also, your own state and local, like your town, public health websites are also going to be extremely helpful. So you just want to make sure that you are, again, being mindful of where you're finding your information. So travel plans obviously look so different, and a lot of us just went through Thanksgiving, sort of our modified way that we are probably expecting to go through the holidays that are upon us, whether that's just not traveling, instead of flying, we're driving, things like that. Lots of changes to just think about with family gatherings as well, and everything kind of coincides together here. So traveling, family gatherings, whether you used to host this 30-person party, and now you're only having 5 people, or it's only your household. Again, trying to figure out, how do I visit mom in the nursing home when I can't even really physically be there? And again, trying to find ways, which leads us to the next, which is navigating virtual technology. I think this is something that's going to be, for most of us, our primary option. and kind of accepting that has been very it's still challenging. It's not easy. This is not an easy. No one says that this is not fair either. But in knowing that we're all really trying to help each other, I think can help us. So the good thing about navigating virtual technology too right now is that we've had time to learn it. So we are kind of going into the holiday season, especially with those that are in facilities that we can't allow families to be in, or we have families that are out of state that we can't be next to, have people come over because we're compromised, or our state, we want to respect the state restrictions, things like that. We have all of this new technology at our fingertips that we've already kind of engaged throughout the year. So at least on our end, in our buildings too, that we're communicating with the staff there, trying to get Zooms or FaceTime, Google Duos, Skypes, stuff like that, and making sure that we have time for all families to do that. And navigating low risk activities, again, limiting our family gatherings, being more engaged with virtual technology, or like the Zooming, the FaceTiming, things like that. So again, it's very, very difficult. We want to make sure that we can help you all on our end. We're all in the same boat. So we're really just trying to row it together and get through the storm together. So taking care of your mental health, again, I'm going to reiterate this because I think it's very important for all of us. Even the professionals still need to take care of their own mental health, because like you, like any caregiver, when we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of you. So also be mindful of that. But I did a little cut and paste here from the CDC website. So you can find this on the CDC website. There's so much information out there. I really recommend just taking a look. If you haven't, taking a look, kind of going through. It's very easy to read. It's very manageable to navigate. I highly recommend it. But there are a lot of resources out there too. So if you are ever in crisis, we want to make sure that you're getting the right help. We want to make sure that you're navigating the right way. So please feel free to reach out to us if you need anything at all. Even if you're not a current someone who's not receiving our particular hospice services, we can still take your call, take your email, and we'd be happy to help you figure out where to go from your questions. So then we have, so those are just some references. So I want to just thank everyone. I'm just going to leave it on this slide for everyone too. I just want to thank everyone for joining me and New England Hospice, and tuning in to Coping Through the Holidays. Feel free to, again, reach out to us. NewEnglandHospice.com has all of our information on there. You can find our phone number, fax, things like that. You can also email us. Happy to take your phone call. We really hope that you all have a happy and safe holiday season this year. We're all in it together. So again, we're getting it through together. So thank you again, and take care.